Look at all this document here. Look at all this document here. No one is coming to save you. Not the Romans. They are not coming to save the blacks. The Europeans, they are not coming to save the black. The Egyptians, they are not coming to save the blacks, even though they are part of Africa. Do you understand that majority of blacks across the nations of the world are in prison? A lot of blacks are in prison.
Welcome to GhanaPlusTv, the digital heartbeat of Africans' truth. This is more than a channel. It is a movement. A space where African stories are told by African voice. Raw, rare, and unapologetic. From culture to current affairs. From untold story to breaking news. We bring you the narrative that matters. The ones mainstream media skips. The one that shapes our identity, our power, our future. If you are looking for truth, pride, and perspective, you are in the right place. Subscribe, like, share, and stay connected. Let's own our story together.
I will not keep this one to myself alone. This is heavy. This is unbelievable. This is incomprehensible. It's a major crisis all over the world against the black. Right from time, we don't pay close attention to a lot of things that affect us as black people across the nations of the world. Do you understand that majority of blacks across the nations of the world are in prison? A lot of blacks are in prison. Prison, you will be shocked and surprised to know that it is designed to control black, to have dominion over them. The level of incarceration in America, the incarceration of black men in America is appalling. In France, in the European countries, it is unbelievable. A black man will likely go to prison for nothing. Do you know that in America, a phone call from your family member, a phone call from your wife, from your sons or your daughter, one phone call, 1 minute can put you out completely, can send you to prison with nobody asking you any question. The number of men that are in prison in America, in France, is beyond your wildest imagination if you get to know the number of men that are in prison. Why are blacks across the nations of the world going through all this? Black men, for example, in America make up around 13% of the US male population, but represent about 33 to 38% of the total incarcerated male population, indicating a disproportionately high incarceration rate. The system is designed to make sure that black men don't have voice. We need to talk about this. We need to come to a place where black are able to stand for themselves, defend themselves. The system that is being orchestrated against black is deep. I started doing my research and I discovered that prison system was established especially by the colonial masters to punish the blacks and the like if they try to go against or to become what they call rebellion, reject their order, to put them under order. France, for example, they don't even know the number of people that are in prison that are black. I think the black population in France is about 4%, but they represent the high level of incarceration. They don't even want to show the data at all. So right from time, black has been deprived of the right to independence, for them to live freely. There is a systemic approach to a way black people, black nations are oppressed across the nations of the world. Who is liberating the blacks? Who speak for black men? That is why we have all kinds of destabilization among black community across the nations of the world. High level of discrimination, racial discrimination, social economical discrimination. You are likely to be accused of something if you are just a black man. Just being a black man is an offense. From Germany to Canada to France to America, all over the world to Europe, you realize that a common offense that a European or an American or a Canadian or a French-speaking person will commit and nobody will even pay attention to, a black man cannot even dare it. That is why it is high time that we build our own system. It's high time we speak up and defend ourselves. Because in the first place, look at all this document here. Look at all this document here. No one is coming to save you. Not the Romans. They are not coming to save the blacks. The Europeans, they are not coming to save the black. The Egyptians, they are not coming to save the blacks, even though they are part of Africa. I mean the Egyptians. Government across Europe began building facilities aimed to rehabilitate or labor, forced labor, isolation. The colonial power, Britain, France, Spain, etc., export prison system to their colonies to enforce control and suppress rebellion. That means whatever we say, you must do. And if you won't do what we ask you to do, we will economically imprison you. It's the same thing that is happening in the democracy system. After democracy was imported into Africa, and Africans were forced to follow democracy, neglecting their own rulership, their kings, their territory, their leadership method. Now, if you won't do what you are asked to do, then you're going to get punished for not doing what you're asked to do. It's either you are physically incarcerated, mentally incarcerated, politically incarcerated. Somehow, you are going to get punished until we come to a point where we can create our own value and system and begin to value each other. We won't be able to build the new Africa. Prisons were built in Africa, in Asia, and in Americas to punish resistance and manage colonial order. You dare not resist, because that is going to be the pathway to prison. The percentage of black men in prison compared to the white men in prison, regardless of location, is something that you cannot even think about it. Do you know that when even in America, as free as America seems to be, a phone call can send you to prison with nobody asking you why, what happened? In order for us to build new Africa, we need to raise leaders. We need to raise people who are bold enough to speak up, to defend blacks, to defend Africa and Africans. And not just Africans alone, black across the nations of the world. When I travel around the world and I see the territory controlled by blacks or reside by blacks, when you see the level of decadence because of systemic isolation, it's unbelievable. Even within America. I was in Alabama the other time, and I was just like, what is this? Come to Chicago the same way. Go to New York the same way. Go to California the same way. Everywhere you go around the world, blacks are under systemic isolation. Should we continue this way? That is why I speak about the need for education and knowledge and empowerment, human capacity development. Because no one is coming to save us, obviously. Families are separated. Who cares about how your child was raised? Your sons, your daughters were raised. They use our women against our men. And unfortunately, this continue forever. But we must say enough is enough. Enough is enough. We're going to have a solid conversation about this, statistically speaking, on how to put an end to all this. Say prisons built for the black. How do we stop this in our time? Right. This is heartbroken, and of course, it is what the West and the rest of the world, I believe, most people that are not in support of Africa want to hear. Food crisis unprecedented in proportion. Millions are expected to be at risk of worsening hunger in the near future due to conflicts, climate change, extremisms, and economic slowdown. An after effect of Western challenge in Africa. Welcome again, ladies and gentlemen. Recently, we got a news that there is going to be millions of Africans, sons and daughters, who will be at risk of food crisis. And I believe it's not even something in the nearest future. It is happening live right now. Due to conflict in Africa, in different regions of Africa, the intention of the West, the Europe, the Americans, and the rest is always to keep Africans dependent. Let Africans' wealth work for Africa. Let Africans, the Africans' wealth, let it work for Africa. It is what Kwame Nkrumah, Muammar Gaddafi, Thomas Sankara, Patrice Lumumba, and even Captain Traore and the rest are clamoring for. We must build the Africa that works for Africa, that takes African child and Africans out of poverty. We can boldly declare and say that Africa is not poor. Africa is not poor, but Africa is plundered. Africa is exploited. We are rich in gold, in oil, in talent, and time. Yet we struggle. We struggle because of this one reason. Our sons and daughters are hungry. And the pictures of the hunger in Africa is being used to also get funds to support this mischievous attitude in the continent of Africa. And they love to see those pictures on the internet. They laugh at those pictures and they say, we want to give you AIDS. Why do we struggle so much? Why blacks across the nations of the world struggle so much? Because our wealth lives before it works for us. Our wealth departs before it becomes what we can use to build ourselves. So let's start a revolution of retention. We want to retain our wealth. Let every dollar that is made and brought into Africa circulate at least 10 times before it leaves. Let every shillings, every francs, every currency that is within Africa circulate at least a minimum of 10 times before it leaves. We must stop the hunger in Africa. And for that to happen, we need to go into massive human capacity development, reorientation of our people, so that we can take ourselves out of this shame. The perspective of the West is never going to change about the black across the nations of the world. Their expectation, their value, where Africans and the blacks are concerned, is never going to change. We don't have to wait any longer to have this change from them. The person that shames you cannot bring a change into your life. We must be intentional about our change. We must be intentional about ending poverty and food crisis in Africa. It's high time that we educate ourselves and our sons and daughters no longer carry guns to destroy their own food and their own farmland. Across West Africa, the Sahel region, we see where blacks also carry ammunition to destroy crops and waste food materials or stop farmers from going to farm in other parts of Africa. I don't know what is happening in your region, but the development and the rate of birth in Africa, the food crisis will continue to get worsened. And depending on the West to supply us food is going to lead to more crisis in Africa. It is time for Africa to wake up, to build their own food, provide their own food, and make their own continent a great continent. Your contribution matters. You are co-owner to this mandate and to this movement. Together we can build the Africa that we all going to enjoy. If you love Africa, I want you to share this. I want you to hit the plus button, and I want you to go ahead and make a subscription. We are bringing massive training in the continent of Africa, where human capacity development is our main focus. If you are interested in being part of this training, I want you to send me a DM or indicate it in the comment section. We are bringing massive training to the continent of Africa, where we no longer talk about resources and the plundering and the exploitation from the West and from other parts of the world, but we want to use what we have and create a good mindset to use what we have to produce the result that we need. This is possible, and if we are willing, there is a pathway to make Africa the best place on the planet Earth. It's not just going to be by mouth or be on social media ranting. We're going to make it physical. We're going to make it practical. We're going to make every sons and daughters of Africa proud of Africa, want to live in Africa, will never want to look for a visa or go to an embassy another day seeking for asylum or any form of escape from Africa. Africa is going to become the landing place, not a departure anymore.